All right, you've gone through the avoidant experience. You don't want to go through it again. It's painful, it's not fun, and it's emotionally and mentally exhausting. So, how do you spot an avoidant early on in dating? Well, here are the top 10 avoidant red flags. Let's start with number 10. The person cancels plans last minute and is very difficult to pin down to plan a date. They'll always give you vague answers like, well, we'll see, or maybe that'll work, or I'll let you know. And then, last minute, they are frequently rescheduling dates. They are constantly shifting plans around, and it feels like you are always on the back burner, that they only spend time with you when they have nothing else to do. All right, number 9. This person may even advertise to you that they are difficult to read. They can brag about it as if it's some sort of thing to be proud of. That people have a difficult time interpreting their emotions and figuring out what they're thinking. What this really means is that the avoidant, they don't feel comfortable or confident in expressing their emotions, because that's what avoidants do. They suppress emotions, they run from problems. So this person, rather than express their emotions in a visible or noticeable way, they stuff it, they suppress it. And because they learn to squash their emotions at an early age, they feel proud of this ability. They feel proud of the fact that people can't get a read on their emotions. All right, number 8. This person feels more comfortable with sex than intimate conversations. They have no hesitations about taking things to the bedroom, sometimes even early in dating. However, when you try to have a deep conversation with them, they will try to brush it off, perhaps make a joke and try to change the subject. Or they just clearly do not feel comfortable opening up and having intimate conversations. However, they have no problem with physical intimacy. That's because this person does not want to go to that emotional level. They separate emotions from sex, they avoid emotions, they suppress it, they bottle it up, and they don't like to self-reflect. So they don't like to communicate deep emotional issues with anybody, especially someone that they're dating. All right, number 7, and this is a big one. Love bombing. If it feels too much, too soon, too fast, it probably is. If this person is showing you more interest and affection than is warranted based on the amount of time that you have invested in each other, take notice. Yes, it's possible that it's genuine interest. However, it is also a possible red flag of love bombing, and avoidants are very prone to love bomb partners. Not all of them do, but many do, if not most. Avoidants love bomb because they spent a lifetime bottling up and suppressing their emotions. Early on in the relationship, there is no threat of emotional intimacy, so the avoidant feels safe. They're riding the dopamine wave, they're getting all that validation, they're feeling good, and they're letting all of these bottled up, suppressed emotions flow out onto their partner. And it can be like a drug, because you feel seen, you feel validated, you feel wanted, probably more than you ever have in your entire life. And it can be very hard to sit back and recognize that this is love bombing because it feels so good. All right, number 6, their relationship history. Take a look at it. Is there a lot of short-term relationships that end around the 6 to 8 month mark, perhaps even sooner? Were the only long-term relationships that they had with toxic or narcissistic partners? Or did they just go long stretches of time without dating in general? Or are they constantly in a relationship, one short-term relationship after another? These are all possible signs that this person is an avoidant. The constant short-term relationships, that is a big indicator, because this person is showing you that they are insecure, they don't know how to not be in a relationship because they need that external validation. But when the relationship ends in that 4 to 6, maybe 7, 8 month mark, that's because emotional intimacy is building and it triggered the avoidance fears. The relationship became real, so they pushed this person away and moved on to the next to get that external validation so they could feel safe again in the honeymoon phase. Some avoidants are so severe that they avoid dating altogether. So if there is these large gaps in their history, that's a possible red flag too. Now, Toxic relationships, if the only long-term relationships that they've been in were with toxic partners, that's a possible red flag, because avoidants feel emotionally safer with toxic partners than they do with healthy partners. That's because there is no threat of emotional intimacy with a toxic partner, since a toxic partner is emotionally unavailable themselves. This makes the avoidant feel safer. And also, there's a comfort and familiarity, and the toxic dynamic will be familiar to the avoidant, often thanks to their childhood. Number 5, slow responses to text messages. Sometimes they will take hours, if not a day or two, to get back to you and give you little to no excuse as to why, other than that they were busy. When they space out their text messages like this, what they are doing is keeping their partner at an emotional distance. It's hard to grow emotional intimacy when you are sporadically responding to somebody or even semi-ghosting them. This distancing can be felt through text messages, emails, and phone calls when this person takes forever to get back to you, but then they act like nothing ever happened. Number 4, when they express a fear of commitment or make jokes about commitment. What this is saying is this person fears abandonment, and that's what avoidants fear. They associate commitment with abandonment. It goes back to their childhood when they were emotionally neglected by their parents and their caretakers. So what they learned is that the people you're supposed to rely on for your emotional needs are ultimately going to reject and abandon you. So the avoidant, they learn that if they get close to a partner, this means they're going to get abandoned. And commitment means emotional intimacy. It is an unspoken rule that if you commit to somebody, you have to be emotionally vulnerable with that person. So therefore, in the avoidance mind, if they commit, they will get abandoned. If you also look at their relationship history, if the only people they ever committed to were toxic partners, this plays into the previous red flag where they feel safer with the toxic partner since there's no threat of emotional intimacy. So they can commit more easily to a toxic partner than a healthy one. But the fear of commitment really plays into the avoidant fear of abandonment. Number 3, hot and cold behavior in general. One day they're really coming towards you and acting like they're love bombing you, and other days they're just distancing, giving you very short answers, barely communicating with you, taking time and space, feeling overwhelmed, and then coming to you and leaving, coming and going. The constant hot and cold push-pull behavior. This is the internal battle in the avoidance mind. On one hand, they're enjoying the validation they get in the relationship. On the other hand, the relationship is triggering their fears of emotional intimacy. That push-pull dynamic is playing out in the avoidance mind, hence the hot and cold behavior. Number 2, the walls, the guards. They tell you that they have guards up, that they have walls up because they've been hurt in the past, and it takes them a while to let somebody in and let those walls down. If they are telling you about these walls, those aren't just small walls. That is Fort Knox. You are not getting in. Everybody should have a healthy skepticism and a healthy guard going into a new relationship because you don't know the person. But it should be a given. It is the emotionally unavailable avoidant that feels the need to assert those walls because those walls are so profound. This is a person that fears emotional intimacy. And even when you think you're getting through that wall, you're not, because they haven't healed, they haven't worked on themselves, and they're ultimately emotionally unavailable. And the number one avoidant red flag is that they are fiercely independent. They are hyper independent, and they make it well known how independent they are. Now, this is an easy one to miss because being independent as an adult is in fact a good thing. You should be an independent adult if you're a functioning, healthy adult. The difference is a secure person, a confident person, does not feel the need to assert their independence because it should be a given. It is the insecure avoidant that feels the need to assert their independence because they fear losing their independence in a relationship to somebody who is ultimately going to abandon and reject them. So if they make a big stink about their independence, they're probably an avoidant. These are the top 10 most noticeable red flags early on in dating. Many avoidants will show many of them. Some will show none and are very good at hiding the red flags. But these are ones to look out for. One individual one is not enough to say that someone's an avoidant, but accumulation, pay attention.